All right, we're gonna get started here with some arm swings. So I'll go ahead and get you up to your feet, shake out those legs here. We're gonna start with those arms going backwards. So thumbs are going forward like we're exiting the water, rotating the pinkies backwards, and then trying to get those hands behind us. So you can start at the beginning and make these circles really big, getting the spine and shoulders into it as well. But as you get loosened up, I want you to get strict with this, which means we're not allowed to extend our spine. You keep that back nice and straight, and you just see what that range of motion is like here. Now we're going to take those hands, we're going to go the opposite direction. Try not to move the spine too much here. Listening to the cracks or crunches you might have in your shoulders. Remember, as long as those are pain-free, it's okay. We're breathing really deeply here. Pinching the shoulder blades back together, rounding the shoulders forward as you come through. All right, so this next one, the hands are going to start in front of us. We're going to open backwards. So we're going to do seal jacks here, tapping your toe out to the side, arms moving forward and backwards. If you're feeling good and you want to jump, you are welcome to jump out to the side like a jumping jack, or you can keep it nice and slow. Focus on that stretch across the chest and the pinch of the shoulder blades here. Good. We've got another 15 seconds here. You want to get into that swing, really feel the stretch across the chest. Starting to get that blood moving through the body. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Roll out those shoulders. Next one we're going into is our knee drive. So you're going to drive your knee up, grab your knee, or grab behind the thigh and pull into the chest, and then switch over to the opposite side. Nice and slow, staying tall. So as you pull that knee up, you're reaching your head up to the ceiling as well. We're not crunching down like the Grinch. Stay nice and tall. You want to feel this stretch down that posterior chain of your leg, which is here. Switching now into butt kicks to stretch out the front of the leg, reaching back, grabbing that heel or ankle if you can, and pulling in with those knees pointing down at the floor. So you can have that quick flick up. If you can't quite reach your ankle, that's okay. Just make sure that those arms stay nice and loose. So if you see how my knees are pointing out to the side, if you want to stretch a different area, you can point your knees down at the ground. Or if you're already pointing down at the ground, point them out to the side. And as you move through it, you'll just find some different muscle fibers that might need to be loosened up here. Now my favorite, those soldier kicks. So you're going to back up. If you have a hallway you can walk down, that's great. You're going to take a step forward, straight leg kick up, and then into the next one. If you're short on space like I am, we go 1 kick forward, 2 steps back to switch legs. You kind of step into the kick, find that rhythm, but now really focus on feeling that stretch through the hamstring as you kick your leg up. Once again, none of this and none of this. We want to stay tall and just get that leg as close to your hand as you can. 20 seconds to go here. Good. One more per side. And then we're going to settle our legs into a little bit wider than our squat stance, not quite our full side lunge position here, but a little bit wider, hands on those hips. And we're going to start by shifting our hips from one side to the other. So I think of it more of a hip drop towards the ground. And as I drop that hip, the hips do move. I'm not trying to push my hips to the side. It's all about dropping the hip down and then the opposite side. And you can play around with your leg position here. If it feels better to go a little bit wider or a little closer, go ahead and shift that foot position. We're really emphasizing the stretch to the upper half of that inside of the leg here. Good. I've got a micro bend in my knees. So that micro bend means that to you, my knees look straight, but to me, I know that they're not locked out. So always want that little bit of a micro bend. There'll be a few times I'll tell you to lock your legs out, but other than that, always a micro bend. Good, so now you're gonna drop your hip to the side and then you're gonna push your hips backwards and take that stretch down that inner length of the leg. Back up, shift to the opposite side, push those hips back with that micro bend in the legs. So if you watch from the side here, I drop my hip and shift, and then I push those hips backwards. So it's not just me leaning forward, it's me actually sending some body weight backwards. So one more per side. We're gonna go a little deeper into these muscles as we get into the floor. Let's heel toe those feet in. So your feet are supported underneath you. I want a little bit more of a bend in those knees now. So we've got that sturdy stance. One hand's gonna go down to the side. Opposite hand is gonna reach up and over as you walk your fingertips down your side here. Giving ourselves a stretch from the rib cage to the hip bone. So if you let this foot lift, you're not gonna feel the stretch. You want both feet anchored firmly into the floor. Exhale off to the side. Inhale to come back up. Exhale off to the opposite way. Majority of these exercises here, we're timing the movement to our breath, not the other way around. Okay, just one more per side. Very nice. All right, we're gonna take it down to the ground now, and you're gonna need a strap, a belt, a towel, something that's gonna help you reach your foot. So I've got my strap here. I'm gonna put that strap around the ball of my foot. The leg I'm not using is gonna be bent, and I'm gonna do an assisted leg raise here up to the top, making sure that my leg is locked out straight, my ankle is flexed, and my tailbone is on the ground. So we're going down and up 10 times, feeling that stretch here. Remember, if your band is a little stretchy, that's okay, but we want it to be as firm as possible so you're getting that stretch down the back of the leg. Now the hamstring muscle is a unique muscle because it does span two joints. So a lot of times we often feel the maximum stretch around our knee, and that's because that's the weakest part of the hamstring. So after you've done 10, I want you to bend your knee a little bit, but keep the foot flexed and keep the tailbone on the ground. And then try that same motion with that slightly bent knee. Does it change where you feel the stretch? Do you feel it more in the belly of the muscle here? So we're gonna go 10 more with that slightly bent knee. Just exploring to see where you get the best stretch for your hamstrings. Remember, if that tailbone is curling up, that's cheating. We're shortening the hamstring muscle. You want to keep that tailbone pressed into the floor. And once we've done 10 with that bent leg, we're going to straighten our leg again. And we're going to go out to the side, making sure that my body doesn't roll. And then I'm going to help pull my leg back up. So let the leg fall to the side, keeping the back of both hips and shoulders on the floor. And then we come back up. You should be feeling this down the inside of your leg. And we're doing 10. Good. Once you've done 10 out to the side, we're going to straighten the leg that we're not using. And you're going to pull that band and that foot across your body, allowing your hip to roll, but not letting your shoulders roll. And then we're coming back up. So now we're going into the outside of the hip, the glute, and the low back. Back up. We're doing 10 here, and then we're going to switch it over to the other foot for 40 more reps. Absolutely no rush here. When you're ready, switch to the other side. You've got 10 straight leg up and down, 10 straight bent leg up and down, 10 straight leg out to the side, and 10 straight leg across your body. So when you're ready, you can switch and go ahead and get started on that opposite side. One thing I want you to notice here is if it feels different on one side than the other. It's very common for us to have biases, one side that's stronger, another side that's more stable. But our goal through stretching, mobility, strength training is to make our body equally strong on both sides. So as we get to know our body and listen to where it's tight, our goal is to loosen those areas up. So straight leg hamstring raise, should be feeling it more behind the knee. As you bend that knee slightly, it should take it more into the belly of that hamstring muscle. Once we go out to the side, we shift that stretch to the adductor muscles on the inside of the leg. And it would be very common for you to still feel that stretch in the back of the leg because our leg is straight, and that's okay. Just make sure as we go out to the side that the hips don't roll. The hips are only allowed to roll as we go across our body. And I definitely found a tighter side here. Remember to breathe through it. As things get tight and we start to feel ourselves hold our breath, that's where we want to be really having that nice exhale, long and slow, like you're breathing through a big straw, not one of those tiny straws, more like a hose. When you're finished with that, remember, no rush. You can meet us in our glute bridge here. So we've stretched the back, the inside, the outside of the legs. Now we're stretching the front of the legs. So I want you to do a really hard pelvic tilt. So I want you to pull your pubic bone to your chin so hard that your tailbone lifts off the ground. And then you're going to lift the hips up, feeling this stretch through the front of the hips here. Now, if that's not enough of a stretch for you, you can come on over to your knees, leaning back on your hands, same pelvic tilt, and then lift those hips up to feel the stretch through the front of the quads. This is a glute bridge. It's a little bit different than what we do with our spine when we're doing it for strength training, as our focus here is on stretching out the front of the hips. If you're in between this position and this position, you could use yoga blocks to help you. So elevating those hands behind you here. I don't have my yoga blocks handy, but the yoga blocks here will make it a little bit easier to lift the hips up. We've got 30 more seconds here. Really tucking that tailbone hard, playing around with foot and knee position. So if you bring your knees a little farther apart from each other, does that change where you feel the stretch? If you push those knees tight together, does that change again where you feel that stretch? Focus here is on stretching the thighs. Always exhaling as you're lifting. Last one, let's hold here for 10 seconds in that highest position. 3, 2, 1, relax. And from whatever position you're in, you're going to make your way over to a seated position here. My yoga mat's really wide, but if you're on a regular yoga mat, I want your feet just off to the sides of the yoga mat here, leaning back on the hands, and we're going to drop our legs from one side to the other in that 90 position. As we get started here, you can let the hip lift to get the knee down. You just have to stay leaning back on those hands. That's my only rule for you here. And you're just listening to your hips, getting those internal and external rotators stretched out. Do you have one side that's tighter than the other? We're gonna get a little stricter with this in 10 seconds here. And that means that your butt is not allowed to lift up off the floor. I like to take my legs a little bit wider for this next one. And I'm just gonna rotate one knee into the center line of my body and back out, and then the opposite knee, in and out. So this is gonna really get you through the front and side of the hips here as we focus on that internal rotation. Remembering we don't wanna go past a 3, maybe 4 out of 10 on the pain scale here. You're gonna think about which side is tighter. I can't tell, they both feel equally tight today for me. So whichever side feels tighter, you're gonna let your legs fall the opposite way. So if my right leg feels tight, I'm gonna let my legs drop to the left-hand side and I'm gonna sit up facing that left leg. So this is our 90-90 position here. The goal is to get your spine as straight as possible. So if you're like this, put your hand on the ground and use that assistance to help you stay upright. Coming in as close to your hip as you can, still keeping that spine long. We're gonna rock forward and backwards over top of this front knee here. I want you to focus on trying to keep this knee into the ground. So I hinge forward over top of the knee, and then I press the knee into the floor to come back upright, starting to get a little bit of activation through those glutes. One of the most important muscles when we're talking about healthy backs and healthy knees. Let's go ahead and lean back on your hands now. And you're going to rotate your legs up and drop them down to the opposite side. I'm going to shift. So now I've sat up as tall as I can through my spine. I'm rocking forward and backwards over this front knee where my belly button's pointing, keeping that knee in contact with the ground. Stretching the hip as you come down and then pressing the knee into the ground to come back up. If this hip is cramping, adjust the back leg to where you can focus on that front leg only. Nice long spine the whole time. So I prefer to think of this as pulling my belly button to my knee rather than my chest to my knee. I can go a lot further with my chest, but I don't feel the stretch as much. And let's go ahead and come back to our starting position of leaning back on the hands, and let's shake those legs out again. Now that we've done a few deeper internal, external rotator stretches, does this 90-90 rotation feel a little bit easier? You are allowed to say no, it's only day one, that's okay. Should just be working out some cobwebs here. The next segment of exercises are going to take place on our knees. So if you do have a padded thing to kneel on, you are welcome to grab it. If you have a thin pillow or want to roll a towel up, you can do that as well. I will say that they have the bigger ones at Canadian Tire for in front of your sink. You can cut in half, but they also have small ones like this at Home Depot on sale. I saw them on the weekend. So I did take a photo. If you're interested, I can send that to you. And it's just a little cushion for the knees if you need it. Definitely not mandatory here. We're going to start getting into our spine. So our cat-cow. I want you to exhale as you press your spine up towards the ceiling, letting your chin tuck under as well as your tailbone. And then we're going to inhale as we drop the belly button, raise the chin up at the ceiling. Moving back and forth, following your breath here. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to imagine every single vertebrae getting a little bit of movement here. That motion is lotion. And by the 1st to the 10th, you should start to feel at least a little bit looser. If it feels good, you can let those hips wag from one side to the other. Feel that stretch to the outside of the hips again. But about 20 seconds left with these cat-cows. Moving in a way that feels good for you. We want to stay out of any painful ranges of motion. All right, we're gonna get into some T-spine rotations now. And I'm gonna be a little bit mean for day one. I'm gonna have you lower down to your elbows here. So I'm gonna take the shoulders out of it. One hand's gonna go behind your head. You're gonna take a big deep breath in. And then I want you to exhale as you rotate to the side, trying to get this elbow to point up at the ceiling. Inhale to come back down and exhale up. So you might not make it very far, and that's okay. When we do this on our hand, it's a little bit too easy for the shoulder to give us some false range of motion. So even though I'm mean here, I'm allowing you to feel what your T-spine actually feels like. If you have neck or upper shoulder issues, a tight thoracic spine can definitely aggravate it. Last one here. And then you're going to switch it over to the opposite side. If you find that open position tight and uncomfortable, I want you to pause for a couple seconds at the top. Give your body that chance to adjust. If we're rushing out of the top of it, we're never going to figure out how to loosen up those muscles. So I exhale, I open, I can pause here, take another deep breath in, and exhale again, often finding a little bit more space. If you sit at a desk for 8 hours a day, this is a great one to do. If you're holding children in front of you for a large portion of your day and those shoulders get rounded forward, this is a great one to do to help undo that. 15 seconds to go here. And go ahead and relax. So we're going to take a little pause here. Go ahead and get a drink of water, coffee, whatever you're sipping this morning. Summer's over. Should be no Prosecco being sipped right now. All right, we're going to go into a little bit of activation here. So activating key areas in our glutes and in our shoulders that help us maintain proper posture. And then we're going to get into our workout. It is a full body workout. So over the next couple of weeks, we're more focused on our mobility and opening up, finding some new ranges of motion than we are in really pushing the heavy strength. So for our activation today, we're going to start on our knees again. On our hands here, we're going to do a fire hydrant as our first exercise. So I want you to find that nice strong tabletop position. Your knees are supported under your hips. Your hands are supported under your shoulders. And we don't want our shoulders up by our ears. Bring the shoulders away from the ears as far as you can. So you've already got that upper back activated here. And then we're going to take our leg, push it out to the side like you're a dog peeing on a fire hydrant, and then back in. You want to feel this butt muscle work here. I don't care if your leg comes up to here, because all you're doing is rotating your spine to get it there. So push the leg out to the side. We're going to do 10 on each side here. Thinking about activating that glute and then moving the leg, instead of moving the leg and then activating the glute. And then switching over to the opposite side once you've done 10. And we want to feel the butt muscle working. So you might need to kind of move around the position. You'll notice here, I don't go straight out to the side here. I go slightly backwards when I do it, because that gives me that best contraction in that glute muscle. So I want you to find what gives you the best contraction of that muscle as well. Once we've done 10, we're going into our donkey kick. So donkey kick is the same position, but really focus to make sure that your core is stable. We're going to lift our heel up towards the ceiling, squeezing your butt and coming back down. I don't care how high your leg comes up, because if your leg comes up here and we arch our back, we're not using our butt muscle. So that back stays nice and flat. Kick your heel up, bring the knee in. Squeeze the butt, kick the heel up. 10 on one side, 10 on the other. Find those glute muscles again. Absolutely no movement through the pelvis. So once you've done those 40 reps total, 10 fire hydrants per side, 10 donkey kicks per side, you're gonna flip on over to your back for a scarecrow. I'm gonna show you the scarecrow from standing, but you're doing the exact same thing on the floor. You just can't really see what my arms are doing on the floor. So arms are gonna start up above you, fingertips pointing at the ceiling, elbows pull back to the ground, and then we flip our hands backwards here. You should be feeling the stretch through the front of the chest and shoulder here, and the squeeze between the shoulder blades as we squeeze backwards. So on the ground here, to keep that spine neutral, we're gonna keep our legs bent. Elbows are gonna pull to the side, make sure the shoulders are far away from your ears, and then we're gonna flip those hands backwards. Level 1 is getting your fingertips to the ground. Level 2 is getting your knuckles to the ground. And level 3 is getting the back of the wrist to the ground. So you're going to do 10 here of these scarecrows. And then you can grab a little drink of water. For round number 2, if you'd like to take it up a notch, you are welcome to make this a little bit more challenging. If you have any resistance bands like these, and I would say on the light side, don't go into the heavy, because all we're looking for is muscle activation here. And you can put that band around your knees if you like for our next set of fire hydrants and donkey kicks here, okay? Just activation. So if you have, your set of 3 or set of 5, stick with the extra light to medium at the maximum. This is just about activating those glute muscles. So we're going to go into round 2 of this. For your scarecrow, if you have some really light hand weights, like 3 pounds or under, you can have those handy for your scarecrow as well. But you're only adding weight to your scarecrow if you're able to get your knuckles to the ground comfortably, and it will help pull you to the wrist to the ground. So if you're working on getting those fingertips to the ground, or you have any pain in the shoulders, we're not going to add any weight to that one. So round number 2 here, 10 fire hydrants, 10 donkey kicks, 10 scarecrow. If you've chosen to add resistance, how does that change how you feel the exercise? If I were to put my cup of coffee on your hips, would you spill it as you rotate to the side? So this is more just about pushing your knee out to the side rather than rotating your hips up towards the ceiling. And on one side, and on the other. Now, as we're strengthening here, we want to be exhaling as we have our exertion. So as that leg moves out to the side, you exhale. And then we go into the donkey kicks. Personally, I find as you go into donkey kicks with that band around your knees, I feel it a little bit more in my hamstring muscle in the back of my leg, which is okay, but you're still really consciously trying to get that glute working as well. So as you're on your hands and knees in this tabletop position, I'm going to bring your attention to your shoulders. Have you started shrugging them up towards your ears? If so, bring them away from your ears and keep that upper back nice and strong and stable. All right, I'm going to flip on over to my scarecrow, adding those light hand weights to it here. Shoulders are away from ears. Elbows come down to the ground. Open palm here with those weights if you have it, letting them help pull you into that position and getting a little strengthening on the way up. Remember, any pain in the shoulder, you're not adding weight to it. We have 10 total. Once you've done that, take a little break, grab some water. I know I offered this last year as well. If you don't have any small hand weights, I do have some single pound plates like this. I'm happy to come deliver them to you. Each one I want to say is 1 pound. So you can kind of put 1, 2, or 3 in each hand. These were from old ankle weights that I scavenged from the Great League garage sale, specifically for this use. So if you'd like some, send me an email and I'm happy to get you some to use for little exercises like this. All right, we're going to go into round 3, but we're going to switch up our order a little bit here. We really want to get a little bit of overload into the glutes if we can. So we're going to do the fire hydrant and the donkey kick to one side before we switch to the other side. So I'm going to do my 10 fire hydrants on my left leg, my 10 donkey kicks on my left leg, just to really feel that fatigue in the glute, and then we'll switch it over to the opposite side. This is our third and final round until we get into the true strength work for today. So nice stable tabletop position, lock those shoulders away from the ears, pushing the knee out to the side into our fire hydrant. Exhaling with each time. And then straight into the donkey kick before switching to the other side. Where's that core as you go into your donkey kick? Make sure the belly button stays pulled up into the spine and doesn't drop towards the floor. Good. Switching it over to the opposite side when you're ready. Shoulders away from ears, core locked in. Making sure when you go back into that donkey kick that the belly button doesn't drop towards the floor, that the chin is pulled back into your neck. If you had a mirror underneath your face, you'd be looking at your lovely double chin. I love double chins because it means that our neck is in alignment. Finishing off our activation with your last set of scarecrows here. Neutral spine on the floor, shoulders away from ears, pulling the elbows down to the floor, and then flipping those hands backwards. If it's tight, getting the hands back to the floor, you can hang out there for a couple seconds before pulling back up. Allow your body to adjust to that newfound range of motion. And over the next 2 weeks, we are going to get a lot deeper into these shoulders, as well as the hips. Today, we're just brushing off the cobwebs. Grab a drink of water when you're finished. I'm going to get my timer switched up for our workout. Okay, so we're going to go 3 rounds through this. We've got 2 different exercises that we're going to do, and we will get that short rest in between. So we're keeping our rest fairly short today, keeping our exercises a little bit easier. We're going to start with a box squat. So I'm going to bring in my bench that I can sit on. And remember, you can do this with no weights at all, or you can use weights. So our first exercise here, you're going to sit on your seat, nice and tall with the spine, and bring your feet into your squat stance. So if you're on a chair that's, has a base like mine does, just directly under the seat, you want your heels kind of around where the seat legs are, and then pushing those toes out to the side just a little bit. When we squat, we always want our knees pointing the direction over our toes, not your big toe, your next toe beside it. What would be your index toe, I guess? I don't know. Keeping that upright position, we're going to stand up, squeezing your butt, and then we're going to sit back down, trying to control all the way down. We want to avoid doing this to get up and avoid flopping if we can. So getting as much control as possible. Your chair doesn't really need to be any lower than your knee, okay? That's what we're going with today. If you'd like to add resistance, you have an option. You can add resistance bands around those knees to help get that outward motion and really get that glute med on. You could also add dumbbells to it. Holding one dumbbell here in front of you. I know my power blocks are odd, but a regular dumbbell like this would work as well. Or 2 dumbbells, if you have lighter ones, holding them here, okay? So your option of what weight you add with it. This is activation today, so I'm not gonna add any weight to it. I'm just gonna go body weight, making sure I'm feeling my right muscles. That's your first exercise. You're gonna do that for a minute, however many reps you get in a minute. You're gonna have a short 15 seconds rest. Actually, I think I only, 15 seconds rest, and we're gonna shift to an upper body exercise. You're gonna support yourself on one hand on the surface that you're using, so getting your body as close to horizontal as you can, grabbing your dumbbell, and you're gonna pull up here, down and up, making sure that that shoulder goes back and doesn't stay dipped forward. You could also do this with a resistance band. So my leg that's forward, I would put my mini loop resistance band in it, and I can still row up here. You could also do the same thing with these resistance bands. Just step on the portion that you don't need, and you can pull up here. If you have no weights that you can use, you still do the same motion, keeping that elbow tight to your body, imagining that you're juicing a lemon with your armpit. So I've got that lemon cut in half, and as I come up, I'm really trying to squeeze it, getting these muscles working. These muscles are the focus for that single arm row. So we have 1 minute of box squats, 15 seconds rest, 40 seconds of rows on one side, 40 seconds of rows on the other side, and then we're gonna take our rest and start round 2. We've got 3 rounds as we go through this, okay? All right, get that last drink of water, get your equipment ready, and we're gonna start in 10 seconds here. Squat stance, up nice and tall, core engaged. Here we go. Stand up, squeeze your butt, sit back down. Keeping those knees pushed out to the side. You got it. Why don't you think about what your big toes are doing? Are you lifting your big toes off the ground, or are your big toes pressed into the floor? There are muscle fibers through your pelvic floor and your glutes that don't activate unless you get that big toe pressed. That's the signal. You find that you're starting to hyperventilate, slow it down a little bit, timing the exercise to the movement. Timing the exercise to the breath, not the breath to the movement. Last 10 seconds here. Start thinking if you want to change anything for the next round. Can you go heavier? Do you need to go lighter?
3.
Last one.
1. Yes.
Good. Shifting to behind your surface now. You're going to support one hand on the bench and get that, whatever arm you're using, that same leg's going to go back behind you out of the way. And here we go, 40 seconds of that single arm row. Nice proud chest. Inhale down, exhale up. I really want you to focus and make sure that as that elbow pulls up, we're not dipping our shoulder down. So think about pulling that dumbbell back or that resistance band back to your hip. Open up the shoulder towards me. We've got 10 seconds.
3,
Last one on this side.
1. Rest.
Short little rest here.
2.
And now here we go on the opposite side. Inhale down, exhale up. The back should be nice and straight here. Good. So if you're more upright here, you're going to target that upper trap. So if you're down holding yourself on your knee here, which I see a couple of you doing, bring your elbow down to your knee. The closer your body is to horizontal, the easier it's going to be to activate the lats down here.
3, 2, 1.
Rest. Awesome. We have 45 seconds of rest before we start round number 2 here. So what do you want to do on this round to make it a little bit more challenging? You can increase the weight. You can grab a heavier resistance band. You could also just slowly exercise down. So the slower you go through these movements, the longer you're spending that time under tension. So it will make it a little bit more difficult here. All right. So we've got our box squat up first, starting in 15 seconds. Really working the thighs and the butt. If you're feeling your thighs more than your butt, I want you to actively squeeze those glutes. Okay. Here we go.
2.
I've got my weight and we're up. Back down. And I don't just want you tapping your butt to that bench. I want you sitting. Sitting takes you to 0, work through the muscles, and you have to go from 0 to 100 and back to 0. When you tap, we don't quite get to 0. Good work. 20 seconds to go. This isn't a rush to get as many reps in as you can. We do time-based intervals more because I can't talk and count at the same time, as you guys are well aware. But you should get between 12, 15, maximum 20 reps.
3, 2, 1.
Relax. Switching it up to that row now. So if you're supporting yourself on your knee, bring that elbow down to get your body closer to horizontal, or grab a surface that will bring you there as well.
3, 2.
40 seconds per side, looking for 8 to 12 reps here. You got it. Ten seconds to go on this side. It's not about how high that dumbbell goes.
3.
It's about that pinch
1.
through the lat.
Rest.
Good. Switch.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Elbows should stay tucked in nice and tight towards your body. Getting that shoulder to peel away from the floor. Got it. Last one.
3, 2, 1. Rest.
And we rest. Oh, I think we turned the furnace on already. Definitely feeling it. Summer is gone when the furnace comes on, that's for sure. All right, we've got our third and final set here. So go ahead and switch that weight up if you need to. Grab a drink of water. Or cold coffee. 15 seconds. So your final set here. I'd like to see how slow you could do these reps. Now that means I don't want you to take a whole minute to come up. The maximum we would want to see is like 5 seconds up, 5 seconds down. But really getting as much control as you can. If you want to drop your weight to do that, you can. Slow and controlled, keeping contact with the big toe into the floor. Good. Last set here. Final opportunity on these squats for today. All right, we've got just one more rep here. Good. And we're switching over to our single arm row. We start in 10 seconds. Shoulder away from the ears. Remember, these are the muscles I want you to feel here. So think about scooping backwards and then up. If we go straight up, you're going to go into that upper trap. If you pull back and then up, you'll go into those lats and lower traps. That being said, you don't get to swing. It's not a kettlebell dumbbell swing here. We want control. Pause at the top. Feel those muscles. Juice your lemon. Never drink lemonade when you come to my house unless you want it tasting like onions. One more rep here.
3,
Good.
2, 1.
Last 40 seconds on the other side. Switch it over.
2, 1.
Go. Slight sweep backwards before lifting up. You'll notice how my elbow is always over top of the dumbbell. So if the dumbbell's coming up and my elbow's going back, I want that dumbbell to be always directly underneath my elbow. It's a good way to guarantee you're hitting the right position.
Three, two, 1.
Go ahead and rest. Good work. So we've done 2 of our 6 movement patterns so far today. We've done our squat primal movement. We've also done our pull primal movement. We're going to finish off with our core primal movement. So we're going to take it down to the ground. And we're going to reactivate our core and refamiliarize ourselves with our core. In swimming, your core is really important. We get in the water and we just completely relax because the buoyancy keeps us up. But a lot of us find that as you swim, your feet start to sink, and that's where that core comes in. So we're going to start here, just making sure those muscles are on. Think of having your hands just under your rib cage here. We're going to go 10 full deep belly breaths. On your inhale, I want the hands over your belly to expand. And on your exhale, I want you to feel those hands pull in and together. Each breath is as much air as you can take in and pushing out as much air as you can. 10 breaths here. When you're done, I just want you to sit up so I know you're finished. Here we go. What a good listener, Andrew. All right, so we've talked before that core, the diaphragm, the pelvic floor, the TVA, they all go in together to create that spinal stability. So we're going to do a core 30 exercise here. It's going to be 30 seconds per exercise. And I'm going to guide you through it. The first one, we're going to start on our back. So I'm going to show you the 3 positions. First position here is this one. And I can't really tell what you're doing, but let's go back to that inhale and exhale. At the bottom of your exhale, you felt that core stability here, okay? So you can start by doing a big inhale and exhaling to get all the air out to get the abs fully contracted. And then I want you to continue breathing, but I want you to keep your abs contracted for the next minute and a half. So your first 30 seconds, you're here. Your second 30 seconds, you're going to bring your legs up to here. This is going to get harder to maintain. And I want you to make sure that your pelvis doesn't rock at all as you move that. The third one is going to be here, tapping one heel down and then the other, keeping that low back into the floor the entire time, okay? We're not straightening our leg right now. We're just doing a heel tap down. If any one of those is too much for you, regress it back. So if you can't stabilize your core and bring your legs up, you're going to hold this position for 90 seconds. If you can do 1 and 2, but the tap, it hurts your low back, then you're just going to stay here and hold this for the full minute instead of doing that next one up, okay? So we've got 30 seconds of your base hold, 30 seconds legs up, and then 30 seconds tapping if you can. And we're going to go through that 2 times, starting in 10 seconds. So let's get that big inhale and your full exhale.
3, 2, 1.
Hold that core engagement and breathe normally. Let's do a little body scan. The only muscles that should be activated are the muscles in your core. So anything in your low back, relax it. Anything in your shoulders or your face, relax it. The only muscles pulling here should be your abs. Now I want you to think of a connection between the top of your pubic bone and your sternum, okay? That distance has to stay the same.
2.
So let's go ahead and bring one leg up and then bring the other leg up to match. If your pelvis tilted away from you when you did that, you increase the distance from your pubic bone to your sternum. So we want to keep that front of the abdomen fully engaged with no movement through the abs or the pelvis as we go through this next minute. Now remember, you are welcome to stay in this position for the next 30 seconds, or you can join me with a tap down. You are not allowed to let your pelvis tilt away from you as you tap that heel down. Slow and controlled is the name of the game. Slower you go, the harder this gets.
3,
2, 1, relax. Whew, 30 seconds rest. If you need to, go ahead and flip over to your stomach here and you can do a light extension upwards or rest in this position here just to give the abs a stretch out. You can grab a drink of water. We've got one more round here. All right, 10 seconds. So we're going to start on our back again. First 30 seconds, you're just holding the base level. So start with that big inhale
2.
and big exhale.
Go.
Hold the abdomen at the bottom. You shouldn't be forcing outwards here. You should think about everything drawing inwards to a spot right under that belly button with a neutral spine, okay? So we're not going so hard that I have to crunch upwards towards it. You're just going hard enough that it stays engaged with that spine neutral. Now this could be really easy if you're not focusing on what you're doing, or it could be really difficult.
Go.
Let's bring one leg up. And then make sure your pelvis doesn't move as you bring your second leg up to match. Still drawing that belly button inward. Finding that connection between the top of your pubic bone and the bottom of your sternum. Good.
Three, 2.
All right, last 30 seconds. You can stay there, or you can join us in these heel tap downs, but that low back needs to stay smashed into the ground with that pubic bone pulled up towards your sternum. Slower you go, the harder this gets. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw.
Three, two, one.
Relax, roll over, stretch it out a little bit here. Remember, you can stay down here and just start to get that press up. You can be up on your elbows. If it feels good, you can go up on your hands. And then if it's comfortable, reach back, grab an ankle, pull in to stretch your quads. You can let that chest go back down to the ground if you need to. Switch sides. Release. You can go ahead. You have two options here to stretch your glutes. You can roll onto your back, cross one knee over, press that knee away, or pull the knee in towards your chest. Or you could do this seated variation, which I personally prefer.
I have to go.
Okay, bye. Go ahead and send the link out afterwards. Go ahead and sit up nice and tall, pressing that knee away, leaning forward. And switch legs if you haven't already. Good. And that, my friends, is it for today.